What's up, everybody? This is Skylar with Savage Truth 603, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but millions of people have died with COVID. Millions. At least this is what some people actually believe. Stay tuned for this kind of stupidity and a whole bunch more coming up. So, I'm sitting at the bar last night, right? I'm not going to say where, I'm not going to say who this was. I think this guy's a nice guy. I think he's misinformed like a lot of people, and it's terrifying. It's really actually pretty scary. So I'm sitting there, and one of the girls behind the bar says, "I got the flu shot last year, and I've never been so sick in my life." She's like, "I was down and out for 5 days," and I laughed and I said, "That's why I would never get a flu shot." And this guy pipes up and he says, "Well, I've gotten a flu shot for 45 years and I don't get sick." And my response was, "Well, I've never had a flu shot in my life and I don't get sick either." You don't know what your body is capable of defending until you give it the freaking opportunity, right? Hello. So I left it at that. I don't get sick. And so then he says, "Well, this COVID thing is real, and I know you don't think it is, but millions of people have died." Well, not millions, but you know what I mean. Well, I think I know what you mean, but do you know what you mean? Because I don't think that you do. Millions of people have not died from COVID. The latest number I heard was 230-something thousand people. That's a lot of people. But I bet if you combine how many people die each year from heart disease or diabetes or respiratory distress, I think that you would find that those numbers outweigh these COVID numbers or are comparable. And we're not destroying people's lives over it. We're not shutting down businesses. We're not putting people out of work. So then that was followed by one of the girls. Again, these are conversations that I'm getting pulled into. People, they care about my opinion because they know that I do a lot of research, and the things that I say I can back up with facts, and I can send you all the links that you want in the world. But if you're not willing to listen, then it doesn't do any good. But one of the girls says, "So do you think this China virus came from eating bat soup?" And I thought about it for a second, and my response was, "I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a level 4 bioweapons lab in Wuhan that was partially funded by the Obama administration. That is not something that I made up. That's not something that I assumed. That's not some sort of crazy conspiracy theory. This is factual information that you can find for yourself on the internet. It's really not that hard." But the moment that I said that, he goes, "That's it. I'm out of here. I know bullshit when I see it or hear it." And he stormed out the door. No mask on. No mask on. Oh, God. No mask. So it bothered me. It really fucking bothered me. And the reason that it bothered me is because I generally don't go looking for these types of conversations. I find them a lot, but that's because people hear me talking to other people. I was talking to the owner of this establishment who is fully in agreement with everything that I have to say a little bit later in the evening. But this guy, he got real upset, and it's crazy because I've never, we've chatted before a little bit here and there, and it's always been friendly, and I don't understand people's rabid response to things that they don't necessarily agree with, things that they don't necessarily believe. People they have this knee-jerk reaction to get mad at you. And not everybody. I've had a lot of really cool conversations. As a matter of fact, I was sitting with a guy the other night who moved here from New York, and I talked a lot about how important it is for people from New Hampshire to make people who move here from out of state understand that we like our way of life. We like our laws. We like the way our taxes are set up for the most part. we don't want out-of-staters coming in and changing that. And I talked to this guy for at least 2 hours, really cool guy. And when we got done, he actually said to me, you know, I voted for Joe Biden, and after listening to you talk, I really wish that I hadn't. And that made me feel really good, you know. But this guy the other night he didn't want to have a conversation. And all he wanted to do was call bullshit at me and then run out the door without any sort of backup. Like, you can't just say that somebody's full of shit and not say why or why you think that they are. It's madness. And I talked to the bartenders after he left because I felt really bad, because he's married to somebody that works there, and I don't understand. Like, I'm not trying to offend anybody with my opinions. I don't necessarily give a shit whether you like them or not, but people are really afraid of feeling stupid, I think. People are really afraid of not knowing what is going on. But you can't combat those feelings by keeping your head in the sand. You can't just look away, and you can't tell people who have a different train of thought that they're full of shit and not support your statement. So I asked the bartenders what I did to sort of bring on this reaction, and they, one of them said that, people don't want to fight, and she didn't mean it like I'm looking for a fight, but like, we can't have these conversations without it turning into a fight generally between people. And I totally agree with that. I think that there's a lot wrong with society, but a lot of this comes from the left and their desire to shut people down, their desire to cancel people that they don't agree with, and silence dissenting opinions, different trains of thought, different ideas. It's kind of hard to call yourself tolerant when you're not tolerant of things that are outside your realm of thinking for whatever reason. I'm anti-mask. Everybody knows this. If there are places where I have to go spend money and they absolutely will not accept me not wearing a mask, I'll go in, but I make it rare, and I spend my money in places that don't enforce this madness. The governor just came out with new mask mandates, new rules about where you are and are not supposed to wear a mask. And I actually got really pissed at first because I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't care what you do to me. So then actually somebody sent me a link to his mask mandate, and at the very bottom of the link, I'm going to put this in the screen here on the side. So at the bottom of the link, you'll see highlighted, it literally says that you don't have to wear a mask, and nobody can force you to wear a mask, period. It's right there in highlighted colors. So these businesses that force you to wear a mask if you want to shop there are doing it on their own free will. I know there's lots of places that they won't push the issue at all. Lots of restaurants. I mean, you can't possibly tell me that you think that wearing your mask in and out of a restaurant, but then taking it off while you sit there and eat dinner and drink and talk to people and do your thing, that is somehow going to save lives. You can't tell me that 2 layers of t-shirt material on your face is going to somehow save somebody's life. Even the surgical masks don't do anything. The only masks that have any potential to stop this virus from being spread are N95 masks, and that's not the same thing as the face diaper that you're walking around with the pretty little flowers on it or whatever the fuck it is. We cannot be forced to wear masks, and there's a number of reasons that this applies. And the one that's most important to me is the Second Amendment. Everywhere I go, I carry a firearm. Everywhere I go, I carry a firearm, and it is against the law to carry a firearm and be masked at the same time. Well, guess which one is more important to me? People are rabid about this stuff. They are insane. The people that buy this propaganda about the Rona and the masks and stuff, they're out of their tree. They're off their rocker. They're certifiably insane. And I don't really blame them. I blame the media because the media is shoving this down people's throats. And if you listen to the media, you would think that we're dropping like flies, and it's just not the case. Old people are definitely dying from it, but the numbers wouldn't be nearly as high as they are if we focused on protecting the elderly and the sick instead of quarantining everybody and locking them in their house with no relief in sight. I mean, they told us 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're scratching down the door at going into a year here. Like this is fucking crazy. And people just keep putting up with it, and they just keep pushing these restrictions further and further. They're telling people who they can have at their house for Thanksgiving, how many people they can have at their house for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Are you fucking crazy? You're gonna tell me how many people I can have inside my house all at the same time as Nancy Pelosi's out getting her hair done? Newsom was caught in restaurants on a couple different occasions, and these motherfuckers, they just make these rules and then they don't have to abide by them. That's craziness. That is the definition of tyranny. They're keeping us down. And I will not support it. I will not go along with it. I don't care. And I've brought this up many times, and I can't really get anybody to follow through with the conversation. Is me wearing a mask more important than my life? Because here's my train of thought. I'm not wearing a mask. The only repercussion that I see is that maybe somebody calls the police on me, or maybe I happen to stumble by a cop and I'm not wearing a mask, and they say, "Mr. Bennett, we have to give you a ticket for not wearing a face diaper." Cool. Give me a fucking ticket. I don't care. You think I'm going to pay it? No. Oh, well, if you don't pay the fine, guess what? We're going to put you in jail. Oh, but I haven't broken any laws. And I really don't want to go to jail. Well, you have to pay the fine or you have to go to jail. No, there's other options here. I'm not going to go to jail. So then you can see where this reasoning is headed. How far are they willing to push it? Are they going to take my life because I refuse to go to jail, because I refuse to pay a fine, because I refuse to put a mask on? This is the logic that you have to follow. You have to ask these questions. Where is this going to end? And as a matter of fact, somebody messaged me just yesterday and said that the fines, they actually did away with all the fines. So that I have to research still. But if they did away with the fines, and it says, once again, I'm going to put this right up here on the screen for you. You do not need a reason to not wear a mask. Any excuse on the planet, and you don't have to have proof to anybody. So is it enforceable? No, it's not enforceable at all. What does that mean? All you people walking around with masks on when you're by yourself, all you dumb fucks that are driving your car with a mask on by yourself, the people who actually think they're doing some good by wearing a mask into and out of a restaurant, you're just making yourself look stupid, and you're making yourself look weak. You're sheep, and the government doesn't have our best interest in mind. I know that some people think that, it just blows my mind. But even if they did, they get it wrong. And they get it wrong all of the time. You want to talk about asbestos? You want to talk about DDT? You want to talk about lead? These are all things that they said were good for us. You want to throw a fucking COVID vaccine in there? I guarantee that'll be the next one. How can you have a vaccine that they say is ready to inject into humans when it's only been tested for at a maximum 6 months? What's going to happen to your body in 40 years? You don't know. Nobody knows. How many pharmaceutical companies have been sued for products that they put on the market that they said were safe and people ended up dying from? Fucking baby powder. Baby powder. Women get cervical cancer from baby powder. It's been around for fucking 100 years, and we're just figuring this out. Fun anecdote for you. I'm a master plumber. I work in people's houses all the time. I don't wash my hands. unless they get really dirty, like really stained up dirty. I've never purchased hand sanitizer in my life. I don't use it. I'm a clean dude. I shower twice a day, but other than that, I those kind of things I feel like are detrimental to our immune system. I've never had a flu shot. I got my immunizations when I was a baby because, that's what you do. I don't get sick, man. I do not get sick. In the past 25 years, I've had the flu twice. My kids make fun of me because when I get a cold, I have a scratchy throat for a day and they hear me sneeze a couple times and literally the next day I start to feel better. I don't take vitamins, but what I do is I get out of my house every day and I get sunshine and I get fresh air and I get my heart rate up. I go hiking with my dogs in the woods all the time. That's my favorite thing in the world to do. I swim all summer long. I'm always out in the sun. And I don't get sick. And I think that there's a lot to be unpacked there. Recently, I had to go into this lady's house and install some plumbing. And she said to me before I got there that it was important for her that I wear a mask. They mask up. We have some at the door if you need them. I said, okay, I wear a bandana because, I got my face furrow here. That if I'm going to put something on my face, I might as well try to get it all in there. And I bought bandanas to put over my face when I ride my Harley because this thing turns into a fucking squirrel's nest after a long ride. So she had no problem with the bandana, which is, again, it's 2 layers of very porous material. You can see daylight through these fucking things. I start working in her house. I'm sweating my balls off. I mean, it's just running down me. Anybody who knows me knows I sweat like a beast. So I'm working in this lady's house, and she's standing over me. I'm on my hands and knees in the corner, all right? So I'm in the corner on my hands and knees. My face is a foot from the floor, and I'm wedged into this little tiny room in between the washer and dryer and the wall. She's standing over me just outside the doorway, and she goes, I had my headphones on, and I hear, "Sir, excuse me, sir." Now, this lady's probably my age, mid-30s, blue hair, fat. You can tell exactly who this person is. So I kick off one of my headphones, and she says, "I'm going to need you to wear your facial covering more appropriately." It had fallen down off my nose a little bit. It was just under my nose. I'm sweating to beat Jesus, all right? This lady has clearly never done anything strenuous in her life. She doesn't understand how hard it is to breathe through a piece of material when you are exerting yourself. I'm up and down the stairs. I'm carrying heavy stuff. It's just not possible to breathe like that. And I did my best. And I wear that thing really loose on my face so that the air can move up and down. She started bitching, and I just put my headphone back on and I went back to work because she was a tenant in a building, and I don't have to answer her. So I'm just gonna do what I do, and that's what I did. Well, she called her landlord, and her landlord, asked me about the situation, and I told him exactly what happened, and it was no big deal because he knows she's a lunatic. Even though I'm an anti-masker, I know that the vast majority of Americans are following the rules and wearing their stupid little face diapers, and that's great. Do you? If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. But what blows my mind is if we have all these mask wearers right now, why are the COVID numbers going up? It's almost like your fucking mask doesn't work. I know now several people who have tested positive for COVID-19, and only one person that I know of had any serious symptoms at all, and she just so happened to be a cigarette smoker. Everybody else I know that had this virus passed it in a few days, and at worst had a pretty serious headache. No congestion or very little, no real symptoms at all, and it was gone the next day or a few days later. They're talking about doing another shutdown. They're talking about locking us all in our fucking houses again. We went through this once already, last winter, and here we are coming into winter, and they're going to do it to us again. Do they think that you can't just keep printing money and sending it to people, and then there's people like me who don't even get that money. I didn't get any stimulus money. I'm not eligible for unemployment because I'm self-employed. You're fucking ruining people's lives. I was just talking to an inspector the other day here in Concord, and he was telling me that he knows of 2 young men who have committed suicide since this fucking started. I guarantee those young men wouldn't have died of COVID. It's madness. Why? Let's protect the elderly. It definitely has a serious effect on the elderly. Other than that, people pass it. It's fine. It's no different than getting a fucking cold or the flu. People die from the flu every year. We don't shut down schools and stores and everything else. Shut down people's lives for the flu. We don't shut down people's lives because everybody's dying from heroin overdoses. Well, not anymore because they give out fucking whatever that shit is. Narcan, like it's candy, it's free. That makes a lot of sense. But EpiPens are $500 and they expire every 6 months. One more thing is, COVID doesn't make you shit. What's with the fucking toilet paper? COVID doesn't make you shit. You gonna eat toilet paper? You should be stocking up on food. You should be stocking up on guns and ammunition. Because I'll tell you what, if they shut us down, people aren't just gonna be killing themselves, they're gonna be killing other people. For food. Or for fucking oil. Or for gasoline. Or for a warm place to stay the night. We already have a homelessness epidemic in New Hampshire. It's everywhere. It's not just New Hampshire, but we have one here in New Hampshire too. Do you got does anybody think that shutting the fucking state down is going to help that? There's no place for people to live as it is. Then you take all their money away. Rent prices are already through the fucking roof. We are on the brink of being in one of the worst disasters that we have ever experienced. And the sad part is it's because of our fucking government. It's because of the government at the federal level. It's because of the government at the state level. Sununu, you are a fucking traitor, and I hope you see this. If I ever accomplish anything in my entire life, I hope you see this video. I voted for you fucking time after time, because you protected our gun rights, which is the most important thing to me on the planet. But I had a realization. You don't dictate my freedoms. This is fucking America, and my Second Amendment rights aren't given to me by you or the state or the federal government. Arbitrary laws are just that. They're arbitrary and they're bullshit. But you are ruining people's lives. You are not a conservative. You are not a Republican. You are a rhino. I hope you see this, and I hope you understand how many people you have violated. That's what you've done. You have violated people. You've destroyed their businesses. It's madness, and you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to throw a scenario out there, and I might even break this into a separate video altogether because it's interesting. I give people this scenario pretty regularly, and I almost made a girl cry, actually. A bartender. Sorry, Ab. Because this is a horrifying situation, and it's a very real possibility. Let's say you go to bed tonight. It's just another normal Saturday night. But you wake up, and it's fucking pitch black. Pitch black. The little power light on your TV, that little red light, it's not on. Your anything that illuminates the room. You know, we used to have VCRs with a blinking clock or whatever. There's no light in your room whatsoever. So the first thing that you do is you grab your phone. Right? You pick up your phone and what do you see? A white screen. Nothing else. Can't do anything with your phone. So you start to freak out. Some of you have home phones, some of you don't. Maybe you grab your home phone. It's not working either. What the fuck is going on? right? Try light switches, nothing's coming on. You make your way outside. Maybe you live in an area with street lights, maybe you don't. All the street lights are out. And it's cold. You go back inside and you look at your thermostat. It's only 58 degrees in your house. It's the dead of winter now. You grab your keys, jump in your car, go to start your car. Nada. You don't know what's going on, but what you can figure out with your awesome powers of deductive reasoning is that something happened electrically. Anything that takes power no longer works. Your heating system doesn't work. Your refrigerator doesn't work. And then the next thought comes. Well, I have enough food for 2 days for me and my family. But I don't have a way to cook it because I have an electric stove. You start to get this real panicky feeling in your stomach. Then all of a sudden you hear gunshots down the street. Maybe you're in a city. You shouldn't be hearing gunshots, and you know it can't be good. Based on what's happening right now, it can't be good. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna feed your family? All you people out there that are buying up all the toilet paper, you're gonna eat that? You're gonna defend your wife and your children with it when somebody comes and kicks your door in to steal the last of your canned goods? Toilet paper. What are you doing? If everything electronic goes out the door, you don't even have access to money. So, people's first thought is, well, I'll stack cash in my safe. Oh, cool. You're going to eat your cash? Doubt it. Oh, I'll stack gold in my safe. You're going to eat your gold? So, if the shit were to hit the fan, now that's just kind of an idea of an EMP or a terrorist attack on our electrical grid. Like, these are very real possibilities. If that were to happen, and I have chickens, let's say I have 6 chickens, and you have a gold nugget the size of a basketball, who has the wealth? I do. Because those chickens are a resource for food, as eggs and as chickens. The only metal that you should be collecting is lead. Because the only way that you're going to be able to get what you need in a situation like that is by force. It's an ugly situation. It's scary to talk about, but it's real. Imagine if you had to take matters into your own hands. There's no electricity. There's no food. We wouldn't even have running water because our water is all pumped. People would be dying immediately. What would you do? We're this close. So I guess that's it for me today. I left you with a little scenario to ponder. I gave you some thoughts about the real value of gold and money in general. And a funny little story about a man who doesn't know much about COVID-19 but is terrified of it. So I guess that's it. Skylar with Savage Truth 603. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. And I'm moving to Parler. We should all move to Parler.